another video. This one about the VA, how the VA sets people up. It's last night I was just saying to my daughter, I miss being around, good religious people, especially Christians of my own flock. I miss that. I hate having to bring the military out of me at every single turn, or having to watch when we walk through the neighborhood if somebody's going to target us, or have to, pay attention in the store because maybe somebody's going to try to make trouble. I'm sick of it. I am sick of it. And I'm tired of, malicious people. There's two functions. Somebody is trying to recruit African Americans in the community to stalk us, to move around us, and record where we're going or send text. I've seen it. Text to one person that's standing in a balcony, and I see them, and they all of a sudden go inside, and they text somebody else, down the street. I mean, I've seen this stuff go on for years. And I mean, I've heard as well. And then we got people who live around us who tried their best to hear what we're doing, listen through the walls. I've heard this from an attorney and from a CPS investigator. Yeah, it's happening. And people hack us. I've caught that at Countryway and the place where we live now. I've caught people more than once. 2 days ago, I'm trying to do something for the VA, or maybe it was MDHHS. No, it was HUD, our voucher. And I had 13 people hacking me at one time. 13 people. And I wasn't even on Wi-Fi. Evidently some signal that some signal that's coming from the laptop. I thought everything is shut off, but, sometimes people can mess with drivers, and you think stuff is off, but it's not. Yeah, 13 people at once connecting through PowerShell. 13 people. Trying to stop me from putting in my voucher stuff. Okay, now, so we got the people who grab the information and they hack us. Including the tablet I'm on now. Every single gadget we have has malware that I cannot remove. Some of the phones and the tablet have been rooted. Besides a fresh install of the operating system, there's nothing I can do. And we certainly can't afford to buy new stuff, especially now that they took away a chunk of our financial assistance. We can't get ahead. And even the worker said, well, yeah, it's unfortunate this happened, but gives you a chance to work really hard on your business. And I said, you know what? I don't need false pragmatism. And second of all, you need capital to make capital. It doesn't just miraculously appear. Oh, I knew somebody with $100 in their pocket, and they ended up having the best restaurant in such and such city. I'm like, okay, enough with the immigrant success stories. Okay, we all know them. We've all heard them. I'm talking about real, right here and right now, not some romanticized story from somebody's past. Because the romanticized version never matches reality. So that being said, without going into, I put some stuff out there, without going into detail about my liver and some other issues that I have. Again, the VA is gaslighting me. Nobody has talked to me about the findings of the latest round of imaging. They're ignoring me. And one of those, issues can be potentially fatal. And nobody will get me on the phone and talk. Instead, they put in a message for things to be explained to me by a teenager. I'm so sick of that nonsense. When I go in somewhere, people giving me the care of me is given to some teenager or somebody that just started college. So nobody will discuss these issues. Nobody will even return my calls. So Again, I talked to one of some kind of supervisor with the Saginaw VA. I don't know. He called himself mobile supervisory consultant or something. I don't know. It sounds like some kind of like outside consultant for efficiency or something. I don't know. But he tried to smooth things over, but whatever he tried, it didn't happen. The only thing that we did is get a new console for the glucose monitor. That's it. Nothing else has changed. Nothing. Even if some of these medical issues they could be potentially harmful. Nothing. Setting up my family to fail again. This time medically, take my life. I'm not the only veteran who's passed away in the care of Saginaw VA. I don't think it would really affect the community that much. Some vets may have to find new caregivers, but there's plenty out there. Between I think it's 7 or 8 counties, you have what was it, 70,000 veterans? I'm trying to remember the statistics. I think it was 70,000 veterans, 50 to 70,000, somewhere around there, between like 70 counties. So let's say roughly that's 75 to 100,000 veterans per county. There's plenty of doctors out there, plenty, and maybe it'll attract some doctors too, who want to specialize in veterans care, because veterans care is always challenging. You have to be very intelligent. You have to be able to juggle the symptoms and the background and the mechanisms and treatment of layered medical issues, which means you got to read lots of studies, and connect with the right federal agencies, because state agencies they're pretty non-existent with veteran care, but with research around veterans' health issues, which is sadly it's not something people go into. A lot of the providers that the VA grabs are contract here. Larger VA, you have more direct hires, but this VA is largely contractor heavy. It's part of the problem. But then again, some people abuse being a direct appointee too. I know of a couple of urgent care doctors who abuse that because they're a direct appointee, so they have immunity. Contractors, their immunity is limited, but direct appointees, they have much broader immunity. But um, it may attract people who want to get more involved in this kind of medicine, which is the type of people that go into trauma, especially ER trauma. Those are the kind of people, only maybe a little slower paced, that would want to be involved in veterans medicine, because it's not for dummies. It's not. There's a ton of nurse practitioners in there, which is good and bad. But with nurse practitioners, it's worse than it is with doctors around here with the academic background. If you don't want to read studies, you're not going to be good at veterans care. And if you tell veterans, "Oh, just shut up and suck it up. Welcome to the suck," that's not going to work when you're 75 years old. You have a heart condition, plus you're sleep apnea, plus you have diabetes, and plus uh, you have neuropathy, and you have rheumatoid arthritis. That's at that point that becomes abusive care. So that being said, they place me in a position again where it may potentially be fatal. They keep placing me in these situations where it may be fatal, and I already have a lot of direct evidence that they're trying anything they can to sabotage my CMP complaint. My CMP claim. Uh, and my medical issues get worse and worse and worse, and we have a lot of delay. It's horrible. I'd really like to know how many veterans we've lost the past 10 years that are connected to this VA. I would really like to know. If somebody wants to take that for action and get a FOIA request for how many veterans have, died the past 10 years who were attached to this VA, and who had their medical care, their primary care was at the VA. I'd be very curious to know. Some of that you can get through FOIA, some stuff. Um, I think the maybe congressional record would have some of that stuff, maybe. Otherwise, they would have records of counties. I don't know. Some of the stuff is FOIA. Some you probably can't. You'd have to go case by case obits and talk to their families. Some stuff you don't have to because, like I said, FOIA. But out of my 13 subscribers, somebody who wants to dig in and save veterans from negligent care, from retaliation, from humiliation. I've seen a lot of providers, even the MSAs, the call center people that work in the VA, they like to humiliate people too, and mistreat veterans and ignore stuff. I'm telling you, this VA, there's people there who are malicious and who are negligent, and they're killing people.